Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It is so very gratifying that more and more people are finally realizing a holistic way of life. Medicine isn't always the answer. There's many different ways that you can overcome challenges, and she's somebody that has for a very long time have been helping people feel better holistically, and she is our healthcare professional of the year. We're going to learn all about what she does, her life, how she got here. She is live and direct from Phoenix, Arizona. Dr. Katka joins us here on the program. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Steve. I'm great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Fantastic to have you here. And thank you for doing what you do to help people become healthier, happier. I want to go into your background, but before we even get there, let's talk about your patients. Lately, what do you hear from them? What are they telling you that they're dealing with? Their struggles, their challenges?
Yes, there's been a lot of frustration, and more so lately than I have heard before. Disappointment, disillusionment. And on some level, I have also seen some great hopes, because what has happened through COVID and through the hard and dark times for many people, they started looking elsewhere, and they have found answers that they were not available for them before. And they really started looking inside as well and started finding their powers. So in both, it's been difficult, challenging, and also kind of awakening for many.
All great descriptive words, and finding your power is powerful. I'm sure there's a lot of people walking around that feel misaligned. Something's not right. I don't know what it is. I'm doing life. I'm working hard. Family's okay, but something's not right. And then they realize that they haven't found their purpose. They haven't really nailed what they're really here for. And I got to believe that you help people, even on the level of holistically, figure that out. Would you say that's true?
Yes, I just like a couple hours ago met a friend, really, that I haven't seen for 30 years, somebody who went to primary school with me.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing because he shared similar experience, how he has seen for him personally and for his loved ones, the loss of connection to who we are. Who am I really? Why am I here? What am I to do? And how we have started finding it again through, like, the more loss we experience, the more we want to find it.
Would you say and I'm careful to use this word because it can get connected to religion, and that's not where I'm going. Do you find that people are becoming more spiritual, just more aware of what's out there? Even grounding, like we always used to say, got to get back to nature. And it meant nothing until it means something. Then you say, oh, there's a reason I feel better when I'm walking in the woods. I don't know what it is, but I feel better. But yes, you are grounding yourself. You're finding that people are more spiritual now?
Yes, and I don't even know if you want to call it more spiritual. It's more coming back to the truth of who we are. Because if you think about it, and it always amazes me, we're made from the same molecules that made the whole universe, right? The whole universe is made from the same stardust, really, that we are. So yeah, of course we want to walk on planet Earth. It helps us reconnect. It helps us ground to the ions, to really the truth of who we are. So I think it's, instead of maybe becoming, I feel, I really feel that we're more remembering.
Well, I got to believe what you do is help people heal body, mind, and spirit. And maybe that's all part of it, right? Your journey, Dr. Katka, how did it begin for you to get to this area? Did you want to be in the medical field? Did it turn into holistic? How did it go for you?
I did. From a very young age already. My mother was a teacher, and I wanted to teach. I was helping her teach her young classes. And so I thought, okay, I'll be a teacher. And then I started already as a young kid, eating herbs without even knowing much about them, and started looking into more of a holistic healing. But back where I grew up in the Czech Republic, we didn't have much of a holistic healing. So the natural path was to become a medical doctor. So that's what I did. And then later on, when I came to United States, I found about naturopathic medicine and became naturopathic doctor as well. So it's a nice combination of both.
Hmm. Interesting. I've never talked to somebody outside of the United States that talks about naturopathic. Is it not really recognized so much, let's say in Europe?
It wasn't when I was growing up because
Okay.
I was growing up in the Eastern country. So the communism part aspect kind of suppressed everything that was other than the Western Europe did have a lot of holistic healthcare back then already, but I wasn't exposed to that. So for me, it was more coming to United States that really helped me study deeper and learn more about the natural aspects of medicine.
Hmm. What would you change?
In,
Your path, your journey, your career
Mhm.
path. Well, it's always been said, yeah, you never should look back, but I'm not a true believer in that. We learn from those things. Is there something you would change?
Yes, if I could change something, I would start believing in myself early on. Start believing in what I feel, believe, my intuition. Because even with patients, there's always this inner voice that tells me, wait a minute, look at this. Even though it's not showing anywhere, it's not showing in their labs, so they're saying, and when I speak it, it resonates so much with them. It's this deep voice that I always knew, this wisdom. And the thing that I would change is just started trusting myself more
Mm,
early on.
yeah, I would say that's the same thing for me. I'd say the same thing. I think most people would, and not worry what people think. If I could talk to
Yes.
my younger self, and why don't we trust? Because we're afraid of what people are going to think or say,
Ah,
right?
yes, exactly.
And I
I
guess
know.
you figure it out when you get older because you figure out who you are. Sometimes we can't, and for that, there's you, and then you help people along with that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a shame. I gotta believe you're an empath.
I believe so too. And as you're speaking about we figure out who we are so many times, I would think even 80% of the patients that I have seen, the illness that they are going through or been through has helped them figure out who they are. It's remarkable, but it creates a pause in their life, and then they start looking, and there we are. This is who I am, and I'm gonna choose life. I'm gonna choose me. I'm not gonna worry about what other people think because
Hmm.
this is more important. So sometimes the difficult parts in our lives do bring us closer to who we are. It's amazing.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because somebody said to me long ago, another part of my life, not this journey, but a previous journey, and he said, when you're at your lowest point, you're most humble.
Mm,
So
yes.
that's when my interpretation, when you're most open to receive what you need to get, the lesson that needs to be learned. See those things around you that you take for granted, and we all do.
Yes.
Go outside and take a walk. You probably take for granted how beautiful the trees are, that we can smell the fresh air. You maybe even walking with your dog, and wow, my dog's my buddy, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
But sometimes it takes, and I view it as it's a rock being splashed in the pond, and sometimes, and you got the ripples that go out, and those ripples are the wow. I need to wake up here and take a look at what's around me, and maybe even start over, and maybe you weren't planning on doing any of that. Sometimes life happens and you gotta you
Yes.
gotta gotta go with it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, it's true. Like a sun coming out, right? We take it for granted, yet it's life.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in life.
Mhm.
What are you most proud of when you look back at your life professionally, personally? What do you think it would be?
You know, I have accomplished quite a bit. I have accomplished, creating a business, helping a lot of people. I have created this online community, field of truth, I called it, because it was really about, who am I and what is my truth. I have created an ozone class and taught the doctors ozone, which is a therapy that I do, and that's really effective. When I really think about it, like the big piece is, I think, really coming back to, okay, I'm okay as I am. I'm here for a reason. I have something to offer. I have gifts as every other human being, and I'm going to share them with the world. And somebody may not like it. And the one person that it's going to help them and change their life, it's worth it. So it's really more, okay, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it every single day. And I think that is really my biggest accomplishment.
Hmm. Tell me about this ozone thing.
Yes, ozone is an amazing therapy. It was used, oh gosh, over 70 years ago and started being used in Europe and Russia and Cuba. And it has really become worldwide, very powerful and effective therapy. Basically, all we do is use oxygen that's supercharged. So it's extra electron to the oxygen, which then goes into the body and starts healing inflammation, helps body heal cancer, helps to kill pathogens, bacteria, viruses. And it's really effective and it's very safe and very simple. Basically, just using my own blood with the ozone. So somebody's blood with ozone becomes their medicine.
Wow. Is that the
Mhm.
same thing as what they call the ozone layer that's way up there?
No, that's very different. I mean, the ozone itself in the ozone layer is protective, right? But that's different. We use the ozone basically just as a healing molecule. Take the oxygen by itself, it's very effective. We need oxygen for life, but it's tightly bound. It's very tight, so it cannot help the body as much as when we create the ozone aspect, which is the extra electron that's available. It's basically extra oxygen. There's a Dr. Otto Warburg said, every illness can be healed with more oxygen, which in a way it's true. So
Hmm. So you're teaching this therapy to other doctors?
yes,
Oh, wow. Wow. How long you been doing that?
I've been doing that for about 5 years. I have been doing ozone as a doctor for about 25 years by now. I've done so many treatments. Somebody asked me once, how many ozones have you done? It's basically a therapy, takes about half an hour. And I said, gosh, I wish I would have counted because it's been thousands by this point.
How come the rest of us haven't heard about that?
Yeah, that's a good question because it is not, as we talked at the beginning, it's not part of mainstream medicine. It is a holistic, it is not covered by insurance. Um, and doctors don't really know about it in traditional when we go to MD primary care. But there's one doctor that is like the father of ozone, I'd say, or grandfather of ozone in the United States, and he has this amazing quote. He says, if we could take ozone and bottle it and sell it as a prescription drug, it would literally be prescribed for almost every condition out there. That's how effective it is.
Again, how do we not hear about this? But it's probably because, not getting political here, maybe big pharma doesn't want us to hear about it because they're not making big money off of it. Just a thought. I don't know. Same thing with Reiki. Why is that not covered by insurance? I ask. I don't know.
It is very cheap. It is actually very cheap and it cannot be sold. It cannot be sold through pharmacists. It has to be done in the office.
Sure.
So it is not a big money maker. But I will tell you just a quick story. I had a patient who found me in the United States because of ozone, and he said it saved his life when he was young. He was in Germany actually, and he had a very severe prostate infection to a point where the doctors in the hospital couldn't help him, and they discharged him from the hospital and sent him to a ozone doctor. It's amazing. And the ozone doctor did high doses of ozone, and he basically got cured. And it's great and well. But what he said, he looked online and there was all these ozone articles in Germany. And then when he came to the United States and tried to find articles about ozone in the United States, he couldn't find any. Like it was all censored. It was, yeah. So go
Wow.
figure.
Um, OZONE.
OZONE, yes. And it's
Interesting.
medical ozone. It's not the ozone like the layer, it's medical ozone.
Sure. What would you ask for? What would you look for in this therapy? How would it be phrased? Is it ozone therapy, ozone treatment?
It is ozone therapy. It is ozone treatment. It also is called autohemotherapy. So auto is my own, Chemo is blood and therapy. So it's also called that autohemotherapy, therapy with my own blood.
Oh, I'm intrigued. And by the way, I know somebody who has a prostate infection. Not even kidding. So
There you go.
I believe that there's things that happen for a reason. So I'm writing this down to share. What takes place during the therapy? I know we have limited time here, but I've got to find out. We already opened the door here.
Absolutely. I love this therapy. And the reason for it, because it is very safe. I'm literally not adding anything to the body besides oxygen, which is the number one nutrient. And I'm using the patient's blood. So it is absolutely safe. Everything is sterile. And I did a treatment on myself and I put that on YouTube. It's like, here's what happens during ozone. But the idea is I take about 200 cc's of blood out. It's all in sterile container. I have ozone generator, which makes ozone out of medical oxygen. I put that in the blood, mix it. You'll see the power of the oxygen because it really changes from dark blood to very bright. It goes back into the system and that's it. The oxygenated, ozonated blood basically goes back to the body within 20 minutes. And that's it. That's where the healing starts happening right there and then.
And typically, how many treatments does somebody get?
Honestly, it depends. When it's acute condition, like once again, I had somebody with a severe flu. They came on their way to hospital. They couldn't breathe. They came over. I did one treatment. They sweated overnight and they were 90% better in the morning. So acute, one treatment is all you need. Chronic, it takes a little longer, anywhere from 3 to 5. I usually recommend just to get the body going and they accumulate, one kind of builds up on top of the other. And the power in the ozone is not only that the ozone kills the pathogen, but the ozone wakes up the immune system because once again, the healing comes from within. It's the power of our own immune system that does the work. And that's why I always say, yes, we do the ozone, but it is the body that does the work. Always.
Isn't it funny? We started talking about your career and what you've done, how you help people. And then we went down this ozone road. I had no idea. I don't even notes on that. It just came up, but how interesting.
Exactly. And look where it ended. Again, we're back to the power of the body, the power of thyself. Once again, the body never, it's so amazing because the body, it feels like it's failing us when we get symptoms, when we get sick. But I always tell patients the symptoms are only a way of the body telling us what it needs from us, what is off in the body. And if we listen, which is, in a way, I kind of call myself the translator of the language of the body because every symptom means something. And I help the person that comes, look at this, look at what the skin is telling us. Look at what the headache is telling us. Look at what the high blood pressure is telling us. The body is speaking to us and we listen, magic happens. Seriously, there we're back again. Full circle.
I'm a firm believer in that. And in my journey, there's one phrase that I learned a couple of years ago, and it sticks with me every day. All I need is within me now.
Oh, so powerful.
Because like just what we said, your body can heal itself if you give it what it needs. What does it need? Well, the basics are proper nutrition, proper exercise, proper sleep. Get those out of the way. Then the other stuff, if it all balances out right, you're in great shape. Your body will just react to it. But if there's things that are off, a lot of stress, whatever it might be, your body's going to react. And it's like a bad wheel on a car. It's going to wobble until you get the wheel balanced out and the car goes nice and smooth.
And I'm feeling the people right now that are really in a tough condition. I just had a message from a person, very young lady, and she has this burning in her mouth and it's so severe that she's giving up on her life and nothing feels like it can help. So I want to speak to that. I want to say, do not give up. Like the one thing that I tell every single person, and sometimes it's really difficult, do not give up. We got here over time. The body doesn't get sick overnight. It gets there through period of stress, there's toxins, traumas, but it takes a little bit. And there is a point, like every day I make a choice. Okay, I'm going to do something for myself today. And every little bit makes a difference. So I just really want to say, don't give up. And if this doesn't resonate, know that there is an answer. There's always an answer. I have seen some magic happen in my career, and I just want to really hold that stake in the ground. You can do it.
It's perfect. And it's funny when you're going through those challenging times, if you look back even 6 months and where you were, where you are in those little changes, climbing higher, trying to get to where you need or want to be. Like, wow, look what I've done in that amount of time. Doesn't seem like it when you think, out of the gate, but when you add it all up, like, wow, I did some good stuff there along the way. Got a lot to go, but to get there.
Wow, I'm getting like goosebumps right here when you're saying that. And I'm thinking of this one lady I met. This is an amazing story. I love sunset and sunrise. And I went, 5 o'clock in Arizona, sunrise. And there's a lady that pulls up with a car to the side of the road, picks up her chair, sits down, starts watching the sun rising. And I just stood there in disbelief. Usually it's just me on my own. I was like, what's going on? Like, who told you this? Who told you to come watch the sunrise? And she said, my doctor told me every single day to wake up and go see the sunrise. And she says, you're not going to believe it. It changed my life. It healed me. Just the one thing. And I thought, okay, I'm just, whoa. Thank you for sharing.
Best doctor in the world, because he could have said, here, take this. I phoned in the prescription, but he didn't.
Amazing, right?
And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago, they didn't have that. They watched the sunrise.
Yes, there you have it.
They ate a plant. Imagine that.
And they breathe deeply into their bellies.
Yes. Well, we could do a whole podcast on proper breathing.
Yeah, we could. Part two.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Katka, so refreshing talking with you. I would say, what do you want people to know? But I think what we just said is everything there.
Yes.
Everything you need in life. We just packed it into a suitcase and said, here you go. Take this on the rest of your lifelong journey.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Everything is inside you. And it's the little things that make the biggest difference. The breath, the sunrise, the walking barefoot, the eating fresh food. My goodness, that's it. And then everything else, the making the choice every day. The one thing is choose you. That's my message. Choose you every single day. Choose life and choose you.
Somebody said, it's so true. Somebody said, and it sounds egotistical, like you're full of yourself, but if you're not good, others aren't going to be good. And somebody said to a friend of mine, and she's a therapist, and the friend was going through a tough time. It's just like crazy. And she said to them, save yourself. Forget all the other people. Save yourself. And I was like, wow, you know what? That does make sense.
And it's not even about forgetting other people, because if you think about HeartMath, they did all the studies with heart coherence, right?
Yeah.
So if I am filling my own cup and I am full and my heart is in resonance, by nature, everyone who comes in a fairly even large distance of me is going to feel this. And what it does, not only is I don't even have to say anything, their heart is naturally going to start coming to that coherence. So it's by doing things for me, by default, I'm doing things for the whole of humanity.
Absolutely. And I didn't mean that in such a negative way. Forget others. Just put yourself here and maybe them here until you're good.
Yeah, and know that others are coming with you.
Yeah. Well, they're part of the journey too. What's your website? How do we find you?
The best way is just drkatka.com. Dr, my first name, Katka.com. Everything is there. Phone number, the treatments that we do, how to connect with us.
Pleasure talking with you. Really was. Learned a lot. I think we're also on the same page on a lot of the stuff here.
Yes.
And congrats on being our healthcare professional of the year.
Thank you so much. It was a great honor. Thank you.
And keep up the great work. And again, your energy, your vibe is fantastic. And somewhere along the line, I think we're going to connect again somehow.
I believe that.
Okay.
Blessings.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.